Hello and welcome to Job Club. Today we'll be talking about the hiring process, onboarding, and job interviews. Let's get started. So I wanted to do a quick review of the U.S. job cycle before we go ahead and get started here. So we first will find job openings and apply for jobs. These go hand in hand and will be repeated as you apply for jobs. Then you have your interviews, your job offer and job offer letter, the onboarding process, the start date, your first paycheck, and the 90-day probation period. These are the steps that you need to take in order to find a job and once you find a job. So let's talk about finding job openings. How can you apply for a job? Well, you could apply online by visiting the employment website and submitting an application online. You could apply in person by submitting a paper application, or you could apply via email by sending your resume and cover letter if requested. I will say that the most common and often used option is applying online. It is easiest and the way that employers will most likely screen for candidates, but you can apply in other ways as well. I would just recommend checking for an online job application first thing because that is most common. So another important part of finding a job is networking. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So what is networking? Networking is meeting new contacts and sharing information with others. It is the process of building and maintaining mutually beneficial connections with like-minded individuals through sharing resources, information, and supporting each other. Strong relationships are built on trust, fairness, honesty, respect, professionalism, punctuality, confidentiality, and positivity. It is important to be willing to collaborate with your connections instead of competing with them. Go the extra mile to help them instead of focusing on what they can do for you. So networking is mutually beneficial. You are helping someone that you are networking with, and they are helping you. You are building a relationship. Why should you network? Well, you could get new ideas, discover new job opportunities, expand your circle, grow your community, ask for advice, and create connections. And who is in your network? That would be family, friends, community members, and coworkers. These are all people that could be a part of your network. Networking for career opportunities. You are building relationships and connections to create opportunities for career growth. New connections can vouch for you, give you ideas, open doors, and even recommend you for a job. So these are all reasons why networking is so important. So these are some different places that you can network. You can network at events, conferences, social gatherings, school functions, job fairs and hiring events, churches, and even online, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. There are many different places that you can network. These are just a few of them. So here are some tips for making a good impression while networking. Making good eye contact, providing a professional handshake, which may or may not be a little bit different now with the pandemic. Everyone is being a little bit more careful, for health concerns. Smiling, providing an elevator pitch, which is a short description of yourself and what you are looking for in a job. You would prepare this ahead of time and basically explain what your strengths are and what you have to offer. So you are communicating these things to your relationships that you're building in your network. You're establishing trust, showing respect, finding common ground, and being responsive. So tips for attending networking events continued. So contribute to conversation, ask questions, hand out business cards, be genuine. Practice and prepare beforehand, which is kind of where something like an elevator pitch would come in. Have a goal in mind, be present, and share contact information as well as follow up. So you are sharing contact information as well as getting contact information from others. So, you want to show that you are interested in conversation. So make sure to ask questions and be involved in the conversation and be active in the conversation. When sharing contact information, you want to provide your name, your email, and your phone number. You could even share your LinkedIn profile if you have one. And also, I would recommend creating business cards if possible. You could create 100 cards for $8 at www.vistaprint.com. So that's just an idea of a way that you could, share your contact information a bit more easily. So remember, networking is about building connections. Be authentically yourself. Engage in memorable conversation. Make a friend. Ask for contact information and make sure that you follow up to continue this connection and relationship that you're building. So interviews. This is a very, very important topic, and I'm really excited to go over this with you. What is a job interview? This is a tool that includes questions and observations that allows employers to verify the information provided in your resume, compare candidates and choose the best fit for the position, and predict successful or poor performance of candidates. So this is a way for employers to evaluate you as a potential employee to see if you would be a good fit for their organization or company. Now, an online job interview is very similar. It is just conducted online, so it's maybe over Zoom or Skype or Microsoft Teams. It's all handled the same way, just virtually. So I want to go over some common questions that may be asked in an interview. First, I want to go over some new most common questions that might be related to the pandemic and working remotely. So some questions you may be asked are, have you ever worked remotely before? Do you want to work from home? Do you enjoy working from home? What is your home office setup? So, many work environments have changed, and employers want to see if you have prior experience working remotely and how you will handle the challenges of working remotely. Employers want to know that when you work from home, you'll be able to put your personal life aside and focus on work. Other questions you may be asked are, when do you work most effectively? How do you manage your work-life balance? And how do you stay productive and focused? Do you know how to use collaboration and file sharing like Google Drive, Docs, Office 365? Do you know how to use video chat like Google Meet and Zoom? Do you know how to use different communication platforms such as Gmail, Slack, and Microsoft Teams? How do you communicate with a remote team? How do you resolve problems independently? So this is a technique that I would like to talk about called the START technique. This is a technique that's used to help you answer questions during the interview. So each letter stands for something different. S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, R stands for result, and T stands for takeaway. I want to go over an example question so that we can practice using this technique together. So the practice question is, tell me about a time when you performed well under pressure. So we're going to go through each section and, tell a story, create a narrative to help somebody understand the answer to this question. So first, we will set the scene and explain a situation. So once at my last job, my coworker had a family emergency. They needed to miss work for some time, so their important project was left unfinished. So that's a situation. Then we will explain a task that was provided to us. So My supervisor instructed me to take on the project. With no leniency in the deadline, I had days to complete a project that originally should have taken several weeks. So that is the task. Then we have the action. As a result, the action. So I requested and was granted a reduction in my weekly goals, allotting me more time to attack the special project. So that's the action that was taken. Then we have the result. With the reduction in my daily goals, I was able to dedicate more time to the special project. This allowed me to finish it on time and with complete accuracy. That's the result that came from the action that you took. And then the takeaway. My supervisor appreciated my attitude and drive. I was given several more projects after that, along with an eventual promotion and pay raise. That's the takeaway. So you want to tell a story and make it something that is easy for a potential employer to understand. And you want to turn it into a positive. So you could see this was a challenging situation that was turned into a positive and highlighted very, very helpful and relevant skills that this person possesses that the employer would want to know about. Preparing for a job interview. So again, timeliness is a very, very big thing here in the US. So plan to arrive early, maybe 15 to 20 minutes early. Always make sure you plan out how to get there ahead of time, and make sure you dress appropriately and come prepared with your resume and cover letter if requested. So let's talk about dress code. This is a very important part of interviews and work in general. So what to wear for an interview? You should wear neutral colors, conservative shoes and jewelry. A skirt should be long enough so that you can sit down comfortably. A rule that I like to go by is that if I have my hands down by my sides, if the skirt goes above my fingertips, then I know it's too short. Have a professional hairstyle, wear light makeup and perfume or aftershave, and have neat and clean nails. Some vocabulary associated with dress code. Dress code means acceptable attire. Attire means formal clothing. Outfit means clothing. And wear means to have clothing on your body. So whether the interview is in person or virtual, treat the dress code the same. It's better to overdress than underdress, and I would recommend dressing formal. So here are some examples of outfits that you may wear. Notice that there's conservative colors, and the shoes are not showing any toes or anything like that. Here's another example of what you may choose to wear to an interview or to work. And here's some examples of what not to wear. So shorts and rompers I would avoid. Anything that shows your shoulders, that is something to avoid because your shoulders should be covered. Shoes that are casual like this, I would avoid those as well. No jeans or low-cut tops. Again, anything that's strapless and shows your shoulders, I would avoid that. Athletic shoes, those should be avoided. T-shirts are too casual. Boots like this are too casual as well. And mini skirts and leggings are not as professional, so I would avoid those as well. So again, what not to wear: avoid bright colors, casual clothing, sandals or flip-flops that show your toes, flashy clothes or jewelry, stained or wrinkled clothing, and heavy perfume or cologne. You don't want to wear anything that's too distracting. So body language. This is a very important part of an interview that an employer will pay attention to. So first, introduce yourself, be positive, and smile. This will show your employer that you're excited to be there. Let them sense your excitement and interest in the position. Provide a professional handshake if it's appropriate. Keep an interested expression and maintain eye contact. Sit and stand up straight. Do not cross your arms. Do not lean back or slump or spin in your chair. You want to sit still. And do not chew gum because that would be a bit unprofessional. So job interview recommendations, a couple things to go over. So it is worth explaining relevant aspects of your international background to potential employers. Do not assume that your interviewer knows details about other countries and other cultural differences. Be ready to talk about other interests you may have, such as volunteer jobs, memberships in professional organizations, etc. Do not ask about salary too soon. Let the interviewer be the first to talk about compensation. And close the conversation by thanking your interviewer and asking when you can expect a decision will be made. This shows interest in the position. Again, have a positive attitude, be confident and friendly, read the job description carefully and do some research on the company to learn more about the profile they're looking for. This is very important because you want to know what the employer is looking for and you want to be able to ask questions about the position as well. So reading the job description will help you be able to do that. Make sure you showcase your valuable skills and personality to meet the expectations of the interviewer. Answer questions directly and keep it conversational. Tie back to your own experiences and strengths. Focus on your experience and what you have done in former jobs that make you a valuable candidate. And emphasize the benefits you could bring to the organization. It's important to maintain composure and show you are confident and ready to take this job. Ask the employer questions based on the job description. Again, this shows you are interested and engaged in conversation. And prepare transportation in person prepare transportation if the interview is in person, and prepare your computer ahead of time if the interview is online. What are employers looking for? First, they're looking for personality. Employers want to make sure that candidates will be a positive addition to their team and be a good match for the position they're looking to fill. Will the future worker be able to immediately establish rapport with coworkers and clients? This is something that employers may ask themselves. They also may ask themselves, will the worker share the same values and approach to work that other team members do? These are different things that will be evaluated about your personality. And basically, employers just want to know, how will you get along with the employer and their team? Then there's career stability. Employers want to hire candidates that are reliable and make long-term commitments. They may ask themselves, will this position satisfy the worker's expectations? Does the worker have good intentions? Employers are looking for someone who will stay and grow within their company. Future performance. Employers want to see how a candidate's experience and potential line up with the position they have applied for. They may ask themselves, what impact will the worker have in terms of productivity? Is the worker prepared for the demands of the position they are seeking out? Employers want to know, will you be trustworthy and efficient in this position? We talked about personality being important. Here are some questions related to personality. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Tell me about yourself. So when someone asks, what are your weaknesses? This is a kind of a trick question. You want to be honest, but you want to be careful about what you say here. Make sure that whatever you say, you are able to turn into a positive. I will go over this question in a little bit more detail in a couple slides here. Questions related to career stability. You may be asked, what do you want? Why do you want to leave your present job? Why did you leave your previous job? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And why do you want to work for this organization? And questions related to performance. Do you have any questions about the job description? Tell me about a time when you had a conflict with a coworker or you had a complaint from a customer. Why should I hire you? And why are you the person that is best for this position? So here are 3 common questions with potential answers. So for the question, what are your weaknesses? You might say something like this. I am not a strong communicator, but I am taking every opportunity to learn how to be a better communicator, such as public speaking and communication with my coworkers. So there's honesty here, but it's turned into a positive. They are saying how they challenge this weakness. What are you going to do to make this actually a strength of yours? Why should we hire you? You might say, if I'm hired, I would be a great fit for your company, since my priorities match up with the values of the company. I would be willing to put in 100% effort and am always open to learning new things. A last question you may be asked is, why did you leave your last job? You might say, due to lack of communication regarding my job role and responsibilities, I felt as though I would be a better fit in an alternate position. So always try to make sure there is a happy ending. Tell a story and use the START technique that we talked about. If you want to go into more detail for one of these questions, and make all answers point to positive attributes about yourself. So don't forget, bring your resume and other relevant documents and turn off your cell phone. You don't want that going off during the interview. So here are just some things to consider before, during, and after your interview. So before, you should print copies of your resume, practice answering questions, turn off your cell phone, plan a professional outfit, take a shower, brush your teeth, etc. Make sure you know how to get there, arrive 15 to 20 minutes early, and research the company. During the interview, make sure that you greet your interviewer, that you smile, have a firm but gentle handshake, maintain eye contact, pay attention to body language, ask questions, and speak clearly and confidently. After the interview, you should thank your interviewer, ask about next steps, send a follow-up email, and continue applying to jobs. Job offer. Understanding your job offer. So with a job offer comes a job offer letter, which is like an agreement. So your job offer letter will include things such as job title, wage, work hours, start date, benefits, and duration of employment. If your offer letter has all of this information and it is correct, then you can feel safe to sign it. You just want to make sure that you agree to everything that you are signing off on. The onboarding process, just a little bit more information on this. What is the onboarding process? It is a process that integrates a new employee with the company they are starting to work for. It is the opportunity to learn about company work culture, tools, and information needed to get the new employee adjusted to their job in the best and most efficient way possible. During this period, employees will complete paperwork and learn about important company rules and policies. They will also learn about the attitudes, skills, knowledge, and behaviors required to adapt effectively to the organization and their new position. What else happens during the onboarding process? Well, you will learn about the dress code, meet coworkers. You'll learn about your start date and what to bring on the first day. New hire paperwork will be completed, and a background check or drug screening will likely be completed as well. That is very common during the onboarding process. So here are some common forms that you may need to fill out. We have the I-9, the W-4, the W-2, and the employee handbook. So first we'll go over the I-9 form. I-9 forms are used to help employers verify the identity of their applicant and their employment authorization in the United States. Both employees and employers must complete it regardless of citizenship. So for this form, employees must present either one item from list A or one item from list B and list C. So If you're presenting an item from list A, that might be something like your employment authorization document or a passport. If you're presenting items from list B and list C, that might be something like your driver's license and state ID and a social security card. So these are just examples of what you might present, and they give you a list of options under each list as well. So again, one item from list A and one item from list B and C. Now, next are the W-4 and the W-2 forms. I'd like to talk about taxes quickly before we go over those forms, because I find it important to kind of have an understanding of taxes first. So taxes are deducted from your paycheck to fund roads, Medicaid, health benefits, public education, and other services. Any person authorized to work in the US must complete a tax return. If you do not file a tax return, you may receive a letter in the mail from the IRS stating that you owe the US government taxes. Every year, taxes are generally due by April 15th. So, two important tax forms are the W-4 and the W-2. So first, we'll go over the W-4 form. A W-4 form is used for your employer to withhold federal income tax from your pay. Employers rely on the information you include on the W-4 form you fill out to claim withholding allowances for yourself and your family. Getting the right number of withholding allowances for yourself and your dependents means the correct amount of tax will be withheld so you don't pay extra when taxes are due. Something important to note is that if you work more than one job, or if both you and your spouse work, so that's two jobs, the IRS recommends that you claim allowances on the W-4 form for the highest paying job and claim zero allowances on the W-4 for the other jobs. It's just something to note. This is an example of part of the W-4 form and what that looks like. Then we have the W-2 form. The W-2 form is the annual wage and tax statement that reports your taxable income earned from an employer to you and to the Internal Revenue Service. The form also includes taxes withheld from your pay, as well as Social Security and Medicare payments made on your behalf by both you and your employer. The W-2 is used only for employee earnings from which taxes have been withheld. It informs employees of the income they must claim on their tax returns and the payments they've already made. It also advises the Internal Revenue Service how much income the employee should be claiming and confirms what they've paid in taxes. So this is what an example of the W-2 form may look like. So just to clarify, the W-4 is something that everybody gets, means that everybody gets taxes withheld from their paycheck, and this document helps you determine how much is withheld. The W-2 form is used to report wages paid to employees and the taxes withheld from them. This form is sent to you by your employer and will help you complete your taxes. Okay, then we have the employee handbook. The employee handbook is a record of the company's policies, what is expected of employees, dress code, workers' rights, legal information, and safety in the workplace. It can also include information on benefits, vacation, and sick leave. Employee handbooks usually include a welcome statement, as well as an explanation of the handbook and the mission of the company. Each employee receives a copy of the handbook and also must sign a separate document that confirms the handbook was provided to them. So an important note is that by law, companies are not obligated to create an employee handbook, but if they do, they must follow all rules and policies listed within. So we went over the taxes. So back to taxes, I want to talk about vita centers before we finish up here. Vita centers are locations that provide free tax preparation services. There are vita centers throughout Philadelphia that you can contact if you need help with filing your taxes. So here's a list of what you might bring to a vita center. You might not necessarily bring all of this information with you, but it's just an example of some of the things that you may need. A vita center can help you figure out, and determine what you need to bring with you. So some examples are a state ID, driver's license, or employment authorization documents, social security card and social security number, last year's tax return if available, year-end statement for childcare expenses, the 1098-T form, which is for any college or trade school expenses paid, the employer identification number of the provider, your W-2 and 1099 forms. Now, 1099 would be for miscellaneous income. So that would be used, for example, if you drove for Uber or a food delivery service. That would be miscellaneous income. Then you have the 1095A, B, and C forms, which have to do with health insurance, and property tax documents would be important as well. So these are all examples of things you might bring to a vita center. Again, vita centers can help you determine what you need to bring. Thank you so much for joining me for Job Club, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.